again to this session of Meet My Mentor. If you're here for the first time, a warm welcome to you. If you're not, thank you for coming back again. More for your benefit than our pleasure. So very briefly, Meet My Mentor is simply a platform within which different mentors grace us with their presence, okay? And within that, share knowledge, but not just knowledge sharing, it's experience, okay? And within that, the platform is meant to be interactive, okay, and not just one-sided. The background to this is Mami Chilu interacting with a few young people, okay, decided to introduce us to one of her mentors at work. And since then, we are now close to 10 meetings in. We've been meeting different mentors who come and covered different subject matters from potential to dreams versus needs, to the subject of success, and the paramount the core aspect that has come out from all these meetings is it will be difficult for us to know who we are and what we need to do aside from a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So that's where it starts. Okay? So any aspect concerning discipline, time management, that leads into discovering who you are, starts with the relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So if there's anyone perchance who's in here who, at the mention of a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, has associated it to, oh yes, I go to church, or oh yes, I am baptized, or oh yes, I'm a member at a particular church gathering, then with all due respect, I'll say from the authority of God's word that that is not a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, okay? The relationship being spoken about here is one that concerns the state of your soul, okay? Where will you spend your eternity? So it's a very soul-searching question, and at the core of it are the facts that there's nothing that we can do in our own power to save ourselves, okay, from eternal damnation, which is where we are headed because of our sin nature, okay? And the Lord Jesus Christ, from a position of love and great mercy and grace towards us, okay, provided a way to restore us who could not restore ourselves back to the Lord, okay, to be redeemed, okay, to be saved, so to say. So in a matter of few words, that's what we should start with. So this particular platform, yes, we're going to be sharing ideas, we are going to be learning from a mentor or mentor's experiences, but I plead and I beg each and every one of us, may it start with a looking in, okay, looking in, soul searching, so to speak, where do we stand before this holy God? Because no amount of earthly success, so to say, will benefit us beyond the grave. Okay? So, welcome once again. Mami Chilu is going to come and say a few words, okay, concerning Meet My Mentor and this platform, but at the same time to also sort of open for our speaker. This morning we have Mr. Chavunga Lungu, who will be running us through the journey to your growth. Okay, Okay, so we've received A4 paper and post-its. I have no idea what that's about, but I'm sure he'll explain once he's here. So very quickly, I will pass on the platform to Mrs. Chilungu Msanga.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so lovely to see everybody here. And today I think most of the faces we haven't seen in a very long time. It's so nice that you could all come over. I can see 1 or 2, 3 new faces. Like Paul said, we're extremely happy to have you over with us today. I'd like to start with a little exercise. Everybody has a right hand? Could you kindly lift your right hand? Okay. Can we now try and lift it a bit higher? Thank you very much. Now you can put it down. I have a question. The first time I asked us to lift the right hand, why did we only lift it so high and not to the highest? Did anybody think about that? Answer?
It's become habit. We've been doing it since primary.
To go higher? Just in case, there's a question that's coming. What I can deduce from that is, don't you think we human beings love to stay in our comfort zone? Like we're just comfortable? None of us was willing to stretch to the highest, because we just love it in the comfort area, and that's where we like to spend our time. And I think that's one thing that we would like to look at today in our meeting today. Are we in our comfort zone? Am I spending my time in my comfort zone? Or am I raising my right hand to the highest? Oh, by the way, it's as high as my right hand goes, so don't copy. This one I can raise anytime. This one just ends right here. So do not be limited by other people's limitations also in what you can do. Don't rise in your life as high as your parents went. Who knows, maybe their right hand only goes this high. You can go much higher than they did in their lives. So at times I think we are limited by the fear of venturing into a different zone. There's the fear of being judged. There's the fear of adversity, fear of so many things that we prefer to stay in our comfort zone. It's much safer right there in that space. And I think my prayer is that at the end of this meeting, we will realize that there's a comfort zone and there's a zone where we can open. So that's in every aspect of our lives. I can be better in my school, I can be better in my work, I can be even better in my relationship with Christ. And I think that's the whole idea of us meeting here, because one, the most important thing is I think what we have in common is we are saved. But as a Christian, how am I applying myself in the world out there? Am I in my comfort zone in that area also? Or am I stretching myself to as far as I can go? So the reason why we stay in our comfort zone, there are many reasons, like I said earlier on, but I'm praying and hoping that even as we can only, by the way, go as far as our minds allow us to. We limit ourselves. Most of the times, the main limiting factor in our lives is ourselves. And I'm drawn to an example, and it's amazing that the example from the Word of God that I want to read from is one that our speaker today has been dealing with for some time, Joshua. Now, Joshua, we remember, or if you remember very well, was one of those 12 spies who were sent to go and spy the land of Canaan, and the children of Israel were supposed to go and what's the word? Take over. Thank you, Josiah. Now, the other 10 came back with bad reports. Why? Because they were comfortable where they were. But Joshua and Caleb so much more when they went into that land. So let's quickly just read through the first 9 verses of the chapter. I'll make very little comment, actually, I think on 2 verses. But I want us to pick up one thing or two from there. So Joshua chapter 1, I'll quickly read through. If you have a Bible, please read through with me. And it says, verse 1. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses my servant is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness and its Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea towards the going down of the sun, shall be your course. Verse 5. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land, which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand, or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Verse 9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. We'll end there. We trust the Lord will bless the reading of his word. Here we see Joshua taking over from Moses. The Lord remarks how his servant had died, and now the children of Israel still had to continue with the mission they had, but with a different leader, Joshua. Many times I think we find ourselves in situations that the children of Israel did. Somebody who we've depended on, somebody who has led us, accumulated in particular situations to things that we have been used to, things that have been guiding us in our lives. All of a sudden, when those things are not there, what do? Do we, like Joshua, here heed what the Lord said, being strong and taking on the courage and going according to do everything that the Lord had commanded? Or do we stay back and go back to our famous area, the comfort zone? So are we staying in our comfort zones in our lives? Are we sitting there and waiting, hoping that something will happen? Here the Lord says to them, as I was with Moses, so will I be with thee. That's a promise I think that comes to us as well. The Lord said he'd be with Moses, the Lord said he's going to be with us as well. He will never forsake us in whatever it is that we find ourselves in, and he's asked us to be strong and courageous. And I'll end with verse 9 again. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. So whatever it is that we endeavor to do in life, the Lord is with us. He has promised, and the Lord says he's not man that he should lie. Whatever he promises, he sticks to it. So whatever it is that we intend to do, whatever we'll pick up from here, whatever it is we're going to learn, and I'd like to ask all of us to have an open mind, to learn a lot. There's a lot. I guess we're going to be, I hope we have enough time, sir, to look at the topic of growth. It's a very beautiful topic. It's very close to my heart. Very important, one that you don't find in class, but one that I wish our classes were made up of, personal growth. So I'm praying and trusting that we'll pick up a lot of things from here, and as we go on. I didn't start by introducing myself this time. I might as well do that now. Thank you to both. Thanks, both. So my name is Chilungu Chakulimba Musangu. I was almost giving the whole list of all the 5 or 10 names I have, but I'll spare you because of time, who has reminded me I have very limited time. So I'm still married to the same man. The one who reminds me of Jesus, the Lord Jesus, actually. And I am a mother of 5 boys. I was asked to change that one, but it still stands. Yeah. I'm a mother of 5 boys. I will not count how many daughters I have. There are many. But we'll leave it at that. So, not anything more I need to add about myself now. I think that's it. So today's speaker has been a friend of mine for a very long time. When did you meet? 2000, around that time. 2000, yes. Around 2000, 19 years ago, it's a very long time. Has been a very close friend of mine, and I have had the privilege of being mentored by him for a long time in some particular areas of my life. And I am very confident that we will all walk away from here having learned a lot. Very practical. I know most of the people who have spoken have been much, much older than us, and somehow we've been feeling maybe there's a gap. The life they lived then and the life we're living now is a bit different. So apart from Masuka, today we get somebody also who's a bit closer. Having recently come out of the bracket that most of us are in, I guess it will be easier for us to relate with him and really get what we can. So as I said earlier, let's pay attention, have an open mind. Let's open our minds to come up with as many questions as we can and have them addressed here today. So you can either ask questions from what we have spoken about, or even other things that you feel maybe could be linked to the topic and you'd like to have addressed. Let's feel free and do that. I know I'm taking up so much time more, but thank you very much for this. I appreciate it. And Mr. Longo, please do come through and come and the podium is yours. Thank you very much.
External influence for energy. So I'm hoping that this is going to rub off onto you, and we'll have an interactive session. I've always thought I'm a humble guy, but I get different views from people when I try and come out like I'm humble. And as you have heard, for those perhaps that do not know me, my name is Chavunga Lungo. I actually go by many names. I know most of you just know me as Papa Chav. It's a good name. We also, as a family, run a group of companies. It's not registered. Doesn't even make money. Yeah, it's our company is Lungo and Sons, but it's a group of companies. So under it there is Malchaf, and then we have Wedding Chasers. Haven't been performing well this year. So in 5 years' time, we'll have to offer this. We also have the defunct farming blog, so we'll come for consultancy somewhere that side. Yeah, and then we have Ned and Drew and Phil Associates. Actually, those are part of our directors. So, Mami Chilu preempted what I was going to talk about this morning. And as she went on and on and on, I was thinking, did I share this presentation with her? How is it that she's getting into my mind? Sooner or later, I'll become irrelevant in this place. But I think she sort of went ahead of what I was hoping I'll talk about, and read very relevant scriptures from the very onset of the meeting. Paul emphasized first of all what brings us together, and I love to touch on that. So if you are visiting us, or if you've always been with us, the first thing that brings this group together, I believe, is the fact that everyone in the group has a relationship, a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. I got saved in 1993. apart from that, I love to speak and to share my experiences. Sometimes I share my painful experiences because I hope that people would learn from those experiences. So Lizu said, like you to speak, and I was thinking, what was I going to speak about? There were a few of you that were there the last time that you met, and I had a privilege to just talk for about a few minutes. And it was something that was close to my heart that I wanted to communicate at that time. I hope I did communicate. If I didn't, I wanted to build on that. At that time, I think I must have talked about the way to the top being zigzag. Yeah. I hate people that have studied something and doing something different. The situation is such that circumstances have found them doing something different. But I also hate deliberate effort from some that have studied something but have deliberately decided to do something as a decision that they make on their own. And you will have people like that. There are those that will find themselves in a different place because of circumstances around them, and they work their way out or work their way up. And there are those that will choose because what they studied is not exactly what was their passion, but they end up finding their passion and they go with it 100%. Both ways are fine. And please learn as we start. That doesn't matter how you start. Okay? It doesn't matter how you start. What matters is actually how you finish. Alright? So always have, when you're starting something, always have the end in mind. And sometimes you may not have the end very clear. But be clear at least about that one thing that you want to be. And it sort of narrows down the things that you do to try and get to that particular place. So what I've done, I've given you some sticky notes. If you think of an idea, one word idea, write it there. I want it to be interactive. Whatever I talk about, if something you want to come and ask, please write it there. At some point, I'll ask that those sticky notes, there are some sticky notes that we'll use for a little exercise so that we are all involved. And we will get them here. I'm sure they can stay here. So I decided to talk about the journey to your growth. And really because growth itself is a journey. But also there comes a point where you have to think about where you think you will end up and how you get to that particular place. It's almost the discussions that you have with most of the organizations that you work for. You talk about strategy. So, am I allowed to ask questions? Oh yes. So you talk about strategy. So let me pause. Sometimes you know lecturers do this. Some of you are teachers or lecturers. Lecturers do these things. When they've not prepared enough, they ask questions. Then when they get the answers, then they start working with the material they're getting from you. Then they say, yeah, what she has said is actually what I meant to say. They add 2 or 3 words. So, here's the question. What is strategy? We don't have much time. So it's either your hand will be like Auntie Chilo's right hand or her left hand. So, what is strategy? There was a hand. Was that a hand?
I was demonstrating.
You were demonstrating. What is strategy? Yes, sir.
It's a plan on how to achieve an objective.
It's a plan on how to achieve an objective. Any other contribution? What is strategy? No one has done strategy. Has anyone gone into class and they've learned strategy? Has anyone been involved in a strategy planning session? You've been nodding now. What's strategy? It's part of the strategy.
Okay. The same thing you said. You set where you want to go and also how you want to get there, the milestones you want to achieve, and also.
Yeah, cool. So, like any other lecturer would say, there is no wrong answer. So in the two answers that we've been given, 2 words come out for me. Okay? And please write these words if you heard them. It's a plan. So there's a plan. Okay? And then there was something that was said about where you want to go. Alright? So it's a plan about where you want to go and how you will get to that particular place. That's very important. So if I decide that I'm going to grow, it must be deliberate effort to grow. Someone was talking about being a farmer. When we plant, I'm a farmer, a not very successful farmer. But even through my not being successful, I've learned a few things that you plan about where you want to go. So when I planted, I'll give an example. Last year, I prepared 1,000 sweet potato beds, 10 meters each. For some of you that may not know 10 meters, it's maybe from there to the end of this. 10 meters each. 1,000 sweet potato beds. I thought I was going to get 250 kgs of potato beds from each of the sweet potato beds. So if you calculate, that's how many? 50 kgs? 2,050 kgs. Okay? And the prevailing market rate at that time was such that for every 50 kg bag, you would sell it anything between 100 to 170 kwacha. So you can do the math. I thought after about 6 months I was going to retire. Okay? And just live a good life out of that. And farming was going to be the thing. So things happened. We know what happened to the rain. Apart from that, I employed a few people who thought money was coming from Lusaka and not from what they had grown, and so they did not care much. And in the area where I planted these things happened, and I did not get anything. So actually, I made a loss. Okay. So here's the thing. My determination was that I was going to grow, and I'd make my calculations and everything else. I put everything else in place for what I was hoping to achieve. I did not achieve what I wanted to achieve, but I think I did not fail. What I'm getting at is this, that I learned the lessons and the experiences that I wanted to learn throughout the way, that next time I'm making a decision like this, first of all, I'm just a startup. I was not supposed to start that big. Okay? But secondly, I now know to be a bit more close to what I want to do than to entrust it in the hands of people who just want to get a pay. And then thirdly, the soil in my area could support certain things but could not support certain crops. And then fourthly, along the way, as you are getting to where you want to get, you will have to reach obstacles and influences that you have no control. So you hear things like climate change. There was no water. There's no control over these things. And I think everyone that wants to grow must have all those things in mind. And always remember that there are things that you can control, and there are things that you can't control, but the things that you can't control are things that you can always learn from, and always have a plan B along the way. Did you write that word? Plan B along the way. For eventualities that may happen, things that you have not actually control, you have no control over. Okay? The other thing I learned is that I planted this one crop. I had the option of planting something else that was going to survive that. And actually, it's an understatement. I did plant something else, but it was not the main field. I actually planted some cassava somewhere, which up to now is still looking green without the rain. But I should have planted more of that had I had a zone is a place where, as the word itself suggests, you are comfortable. Everything is okay. You are okay with doing what you are doing there because you do it well. You are known for that. And you know that you will not fail. And you know that you can do it with your eyes closed. It's a comfort zone. But comfort zones have never been known to foster growth. Okay? Why? Because comfort zones are places where you do the same things over and over and over and over again, but suddenly expect to get a different result. So you do the same things all the time, but you expect a different result. You know comfort zones even when you're studying. You know there are those topics that we love to study, right? You study this topic, but you still want to go into this topic. And every time the exam comes, this topic doesn't come. Is that closer to home? Yeah? Every time this topic doesn't come, but you love this topic. Okay, it's a comfort zone. You don't want to venture into the things that provide growth. Okay? So in the next few minutes, I just want to run through these slides. I love to keep my slides very short because I love to talk a bit more so that we can discuss the things that are in this slide. This may sound like a very simple question. So what I want you to do is think of a synonym or any word that describes growth. Just one word and put it on your sticky note. Just one word. If I was going to say, what is growth? Just one word and put it on your sticky note. Because growth is many things. Are we done with that? If we are done, say I. If you're not saying Okay, one word. Let's say growth. Did you, when you're doing the introductions, did you notice something, the difference between the guys and the ladies? Who noticed the difference? The guys stood there. Yeah, apart from one guy who in 5 years' time wants to be a family. And the next one to him was already a family. The two didn't stand. And they're the two that are different from him. Okay, so you all have that one word that talks about growth, right? That describes growth. Yeah? Everyone? Is that what I think it is? Huh? It can only be? Okay, no problem. As you are growing, you have moments such as this. Do you plan for this? No. They come. Okay? So, we will still continue. So remember we asked ourselves the question, what is growth, right? Yeah? So, tell me, how many of you wrote the word mature or to mature? You put maturity? Okay, so get that word and put it there. No, get that same sticky note. Where were you writing stuff? Put it here. Anyone who wrote something close to mature? Okay. How many of you wrote the word to develop? Okay, let's come and stick them here. You have two words. Quickly write one word on one. Quickly split them.
Wow.
side. Okay, any develop? How many wrote the word or anything close to progress? Okay. And how many wrote the word increase?
I'm telling mine, God. I don't understand that. No.
Put there.
And this one be in line with increase.
Yes?
Bigger. Yes, that's what I wrote.
And how many? These are those settings again. How many wrote the word unfold? Yeah? Okay. How many wrote the word advance? Or anything close?
Advance or advance?
All right. What other words? How many wrote other things apart from what I have said? What word did you write?
I wrote bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put it on increase. Yes? Come again? Let's put it on increase. Change. Where should we put change? Please, let's put change alone. Come. What word did you expand? Let's put it under increase.
I put intentionality.
Come again?
Intentionality.
Let's put it under any other. Any other word that was written that is not here? Yes? Huh? Success. We have success somewhere. Success under progress. Come and put it under progress. What's the other word? Come again? Enter. Better. Where's improvement?
Under progress.
Please bring better. What was the other one? Learning. Okay. Learning, let's put it under development. Huh? Yeah. What is that? Better. Now you're looking on the wrong side. Oh, yes. Is that it? Okay, so we have to move fast. We have to move fast. Is that it? Okay. How many of you did not write anything? Oh, okay. Very good. So when I was looking at the word growth, it gave me many synonyms. It actually gave me many words that mean many different things. Each of the words that we have used has a different thing about it. Okay? So the emphasis of each word that has been used is different from the next word that has been used. Okay. Why did I do this exercise? The reason is simple. It's because each one of us looks at growth differently. Okay? If you were going to go to a workplace and ask them what they describe growth, there are some that will tell you it's a promotion. There are some that will outrightly say it's more money in their pocket. Sounds political. Okay? There are some that will tell you it's experience. Okay? There are some that will tell you it's doing different things, having done different things within an organization. And each one of those will give you a reason why they think what they're telling you is growth. But that exercise is true for each one of us here. Because this tells me a story. Okay? That there are those that think growth is maturity. And there are those that think growth is development. But even in development, you can actually go further and break it down to say, each of those that say growth is development, what exactly do they imply when they say it is development? There are those that say growth is progress. There are those that say growth is an increase. And there are those that would say these other things that are remaining. So it's intentionality, it is, what was this other word? Advancement, and it is change. And each of the things that have been said here are true about growth. But you see, I like this word that has been used, and it's a unique word. It's intentionality. Intentional. Okay? Ruth, you must have used the word intentionality, right?
Yes.
Explain it to us. What does it mean?
Oh. Okay, for me, when I think about growth and using the word intentionality, it simply means basically every experience you go through, be it good or bad, there's an intention behind it, and it's up to you to pick up whether it's to grow you or to draw you backwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I add to that also?
Okay.
That intentional is purposeful. So you will purpose to grow, right? We use in Bible examples. Daniel and his friends purposed, okay, that they were growing the things of the Lord by not defiling themselves. It was growth for them, okay? They actually grew even in their careers, by the way. I don't know if you remember. Those guys became big guys out of the decisions that they made. So there is a purpose to growth, meaning you make a deliberate effort to want to grow and not stay within your comfort zone. And Chiru talked about the comfort zone, remember? And I'm taking you to that slide. Because a comfort zone is here. Okay? This is your comfort zone. Just remember this. You can Google it and find it. Okay? The material I'm using is not my material. Most of this material you will find. That's a good thing about information. Okay? So this is your comfort zone here. But this area here around is the area where growth happens. Okay? So growth never happens in your comfort zone because there are certain things that it wants, there are prerequisites before you actually grow or you begin to grow. So I'll spend a few more minutes in the slide that follows because that slide explains this area here, which is where growth happens. There are a lot of things that happen here. They are good. We need them. It's good to have a comfort zone. It is not good to stay in the comfort zone. The comfort zone is a place where you can always step back and say, I am good at this thing. Okay? And if you remember the last interview that you took, when they asked you a question about what you are good at, and if you remember your first answer, I can assure you that the first answer was your comfort zone. Okay? So, if you go to an interview, the first thing that comes to your mind, they're asking you, sir, what are you good at? The thing that will come out first is the thing that you are very good at. That thing is often in the comfort zone. So within this growth area, there are many steps. And there are many things that can be seen and we can learn from. So this slide is very important here. We'll blame the quality of the presentation on Lizu, but I hope we can see what is here. Okay? Within the comfort zone, the first thing that you will see there is that you feel safe and you're in control. It's your area. If it's the bank, you process checks. You just want to process checks. You can process them with your eyes closed. 50,000, 20,000 by touching the check. It's an area where we are very comfortable. We want to stay there for a long time. We want to stay there because we know we'll do the work with our eyes closed. It's a comfort zone. But comfort zone often remains just what it is. You're comfortable within that place. You are good at your field. And it becomes very specialized when you're in that particular place. But there's the next sphere that we must go into. And this sphere is an important sphere. Because now, this is where you're breaking out of the comfort zone and you're going into a place which is known as a fear zone. It's known as a fear zone because you are uncertain about what you're going to find there. And most often, you're always thinking, I might fail in this particular place. You're always thinking, I need to deal with the challenges and the problems that are there. I'm not an expert in this particular place. But this is a place where you acquire new skills. And this is another place where you then expand your comfort zone. Remember that we are growing. One of those words that was used for growth was here, is the word expand. These words we thought we are just alone are now making sense here, right? Who said expand? Can't remember. Okay, one of those things that happens within that particular fear zone is that you now are expanding your comfort zone. So your comfort zone has moved. It has moved from only this place to another circle of influence. Okay? Why? Because you have decided now, okay, I've stayed in this place for a long time. I am not making progress. I'm good at what I do. I've noticed my friends have 2 or 3 other skills. Right? And because of those 2 or 3 other skills, my supervisor, for some reason, tends to send my friends and give them more responsibility. Every time my supervisor goes on leave, he's always leaving my friend to do what? To act, isn't it? In his place. Why? Because the supervisor has realized that these 2 people that came in, one has gone ahead of the other by breaking off their comfort zone, and they can do much more in that particular place. Okay? But this place, there are certain things that you will find there. There's a lack of self-confidence. Why? Because you're just breaking out of this place, a place where you are comfortable. So you need to do much more to build yourself in terms of confidence. By the way, in the corporate world, confidence is a big thing. Okay? Please learn. Learn to build your self-confidence. If you have something that you want to say it unapologetically. Is that an English word?
Yes.
Okay, say it without apology. Okay? Yeah, because now that begins to build your confidence, but that begins to sort of brush aside your fears. Are we following? Is this making sense?
Yes.
It's making sense, right?
Yes.
Joy is looking at it like, hey, what's this now? Scriptures. Well, sorry, we're not talking scriptures for now, okay? But look, you've expanded your comfort zone. Sooner or later, even the fear zone becomes another comfort zone. Only that it has broadened, right? So what used to happen is that you had one skill and you were comfortable, it was here, and then you've developed another skill and then you've gone into this place, but then for a long time you stay in this place because you have those 2 skills of yours, 2, 3, or 4, whatever number of skills you have. It then again becomes a second comfort zone. Okay? It becomes a place where I now can do PowerPoint presentations nicely, but I can also do data analytics using my Excel nicely, which I wasn't able to do, and for a long time you maintain those things. And what used to be your fear zone, because you were not able to do Excel, crunching numbers, I don't like crunching numbers. Now you're able to do that for a long time, and it pushes your growth, your boundary of growth, because it's moved from here, you're now here, you're growing a bit more, but you begin to get stunted again. Why? Because you have become too comfortable with the 2, 3, 4 skills that you have accumulated for yourself. So this moves. It now goes into a place called the learning zone. Because you have to learn much more. And then you realize that my colleagues are catching up faster. Those perhaps that are coming more that are behind me are coming with better skills. It happens in the society, right? And it happens in the corporate world. What actually we tend to see is a few years ago, maybe not a few years ago, maybe about 20 or so years ago. So your typical managing director would be a 55-year-old guy, right? Yeah, is that right?
Yes.
That's your typical managing director in a good firm, a medium-sized firm, 50 people to 100 people, 55 years old is the managing director. Okay? And every time they're having a conversation with you, you will be managing director. One day, they're looking at you, you're not married yet, in their mind they're thinking, you cannot be a managing director. How can you manage a firm of 55 people when you don't have just one spouse to manage? Okay? It was a typical way of thinking. But then, now in the age of technology and information, what is happening is that these managing directors, okay, are no longer those that are 55 years. They are coming down to even as low as 35 years. Okay, so you find you are hitting 35 years, you're already a managing director for a big firm. Why? Because of knowledge, because of the skill set that people develop, because now you get to have all these things that people used to have when they are old, much younger, and there's so much experience. So, growth now is not a thing of age, but it's much more than age, it's an experience. Okay? So there are those organizations, most of the organizations that will promote based on how long someone has been in the organization. It is no longer the same. They are now promoting based on the skill set and the experience that someone has and the ability that someone has to actually turn around things within the organization. So there are those that would have been 10 years and someone that would be 5 years. But someone that has 5 years has much more experience by the things that they have done compared to one who has been 10 years doing these things that are here, staying in their comfort zone. So you need to break away from the comfort zone. You need to break away from your fears and go into a place where you can freely learn. Okay? It's a learning zone. Now this learning zone is not learning from school. This is the time you learn from any other things that are skills for yourself to make sure that they are aiding your growth. And now you break away from your fears, you deal with your challenges, you acquire a new set of skills, you extend your comfort zone. Have you seen what is happening? That the comfort zone is still getting extended, isn't it? So remember that at any particular given point in time, you will always have a comfort zone. Only that your comfort zone, if you're growing, it will be getting wider. Okay? Extending my borders. These are the borders within which I'm comfortable, the borders within which I feel safe. I can do this thing. they can always extend. Okay? So you find even a boss, okay, who has been growing in a department and they are a director or they're a senior manager and theirs is marketing. Okay? They were a junior marketer, a middle management marketer, and they're a senior marketer, but they'll still be within their marketing comfort zone. So this comfort zone is still growing. It's still a comfort zone here, but only it has been extended. Why? Because along the way, you have accumulated for yourself, you have mastered a few more skills. But what's happening in the process is that all the things that we've talked about here are actually at play. There's maturity, because you've moved from here to there, you understand a bit more. There's development that is happening. You have one skill, you have two skills, you have three skills. There's progress that is happening because you are moving, you are growing. There's increment, and there's growth that is taking place and change that is taking place at the same time. Is it making sense? Yeah? But then you reach an area which is, and I love to reluctantly call it the growth zone. Because I think, in my case, in my view, each of these is a growth zone. Remember that every time you make progress, you are actually developing and you are growing. And that's why I started by asking, what is the meaning of development? What's the meaning of growth for each one of us? Each one of us will look at growth differently, right? For growth, for some, growth is money. For some, it is a number of skills. For some, it's the ability to interact with bigger and better people and get a few other things in terms of knowledge from them. But every time, you are growing. So what I'm asking is not so much that you should be bogged down with thinking about how to get here, because growth never stops, but how you are learning through the process and how much you are learning from each of the processes. So my approach has been this. Every time I'm in what I think is one of these, I do it to the best of my ability. Last time I did share the fact that I think I've had it easy. Because every other job I have gotten from the first job I had was because someone noticed and they gave me a call. Because they thought they noticed something that they wanted. But every time I kept improving myself. So what is happening is that every time you go into a space, learn that space, and also learn to add on to the skills that you have. So this is this particular place. Time is running. So there's the growth zone as well. Like I said, please take it that each of those is the growth zone. But for the sake of our illustration, you reach a point where you're getting to where you want to go. In life, we say you find your purpose. Okay? So you would have studied marketing. And then you would have worked in finance. And someone took you to sales. And someone thought you could do data analytics. And as you're doing those things, you realize that even the thing that I was studying was not actually the thing that was going to take me to the place where I wanted to be. But you reach a place where you know what exactly is your purpose. And it's important that we challenge ourselves with what is my purpose every time. Remember when we're doing the introductions, we were asking ourselves what you want to see yourself in the next 5 years. What is your purpose? Because if I know what my purpose is, I then now begin to work towards that particular purpose. And every time I do something, I know that I'm adding value to actually getting to achieve what my purpose is. And in this particular zone, there are new goals that are set, there are objectives that are conquered. And this is very important. Please remember this. Like I told you earlier, this is not my idea. You can Google it, you find it, and there's a lot that has been said about this. And each stage applies to each one of us. But you can sadly decide to choose. You can choose. Decide to choose is one and the same thing. Is that English? You can choose to decide. You can decide to remain within the comfort zone. To do only the things that you are comfortable and you feel very safe. They are good. We know you are good at these things. They always call upon you to do these things because they know you are good at these things. But these things are not adding value to your growth spectrum. Why? Because you've decided you're not going to learn anything that will be about improving yourself, not only at school, but in the places where you are. Learn a new skill. Learn about something that does not make sense for the moment. The MD for any particular organization, let me give you an example of the MD for my organization. If, for example, they started marketing and they just decided, me, it's going to be marketing, would they be MD? Yeah? But the reality is this. If you study marketing and you go into an organization, organizations now are open to the fact that what you study at entry does not really matter, and you will not exactly specialize, but they can take you anywhere else. And that is why, for most organizations that have the graduate management programs, they'll take you in and they'll ask for any degree for entry. And once you have gone there, they'll give you 2 years within which they'll make sure that you would have gone through almost all the departments in that particular organization. What they are doing is that they are making you have a feel of the business as a whole so that you understand how each of the pieces within the business fits into the bigger picture. And if you have that broad understanding, then you are growing and you're going through this spectrum. And that is very important. So remember this one here and keep it at the top of your mind. I think that I want you to take away also is that you see we are different. And I know you've heard this, so it sounds like a cliche. You are different. Each one of us is different. And because we are different, we then bring to the table a different set of skills. We are all unique. What Paul would have as a strength would be Paulo's weakness. What Paul would have as a weakness would be Paulo's strength. Why? Because we are all wired differently. Okay? And so when you are growing, what we must stop to do, and the Bible talks about this, is to be envious of what others are doing. But you see, in the place of work, there's a good envy as well. Huh? It's good. And the envy is that I must learn. Not that I wish I was them. I hope you're getting the difference. We don't wish to be the next person. We wish to learn from the next person. And that's why we have mentors as well. Because we wish to learn from their experience. Why should you wish to be them? Why can't you be better than them? What stops us from being better than a role model or a mentor? If we are indeed growing like we saw in the previous slide. So we all have these unique set of skills. Please, take note of your unique set of skills. They're important. These, I can't see what I want to project here, but the way these skills. Take note of a unique set of skills. You have them. Think about them. Take note of the unique talents. Everyone has talents. Okay? And the Lord has given us these talents. Take note of those things. They're unique to you. You may have one or two that are similar to the next person, but they are unique to you. And you will use them as you grow. Use them to your strength. Take note also of your unique attributes. Everyone has attributes. Attributes usually are what forms our personality. In brand management, in marketing, we talk about brand attributes. So you say, this brand is ABSA. Let me just talk about something that is far away from me maybe. This brand is ABSA. Okay? It's got vibrant colors. It's got a warm personality. It's got, what else can we talk about? got this nice feel about it. Those are attributes that we all have. But these are attributes that we use to our advantage as we are all going through that process of growth. We have them. You love to speak. You love to take the lead. You love to be the one to organize people. You love to be the one to say, I'll be the one that I'll take care of these things when others have gone. You love to be the one to run around and just make sure that everything else is in place. All those things are things that we need to take note. There some of them are beyond this, they are soft skills. They are noticeable. And if you are positive and deliberate about your growth, those things are very noticeable. And everyone else will notice them. So those things are yours. So, as we are drawing closer to the end, I have a few considerations for you. And please think about these considerations. There are questions that I think you should ask yourself, the questions that I often ask myself. And it's easy for me to stand here and talk because I don't have these answers. But these are questions that I'm throwing at you so that you may reflect over these things. First question that I have is there. I don't know if you can read, but it says, how do you differentiate yourself? In marketing, we talk about product differentiation. Product differentiation is what makes this product different from the next to the extent that that difference is what the customer is following and will buy. So what makes Josiah different from Barnabas to the extent that in the place of work, Josiah is a guy that they'll go for. How has he differentiated himself? That's question number one. Ask yourself how you have differentiated yourself. Question number two, how do you stay relevant? So in every place you find yourself in, you can make a deliberate choice to remain relevant. You know what that means? Find yourself something that you do that perhaps no one else can do. There was a time when I was in this advertising agency, and they'll do anything else. But when it was time to come and put a presentation together and present it, even if it was not my project, they'll say, Chav will do it. Okay? And one time I was late. It was not deliberate. But I was late, but I knew that they were waiting for me. If Chav is not there, I'll do it. So for some reason, from a very young age, I developed this thing about wanting to stand in front of crowds and to speak. So even in my Sunday school days, if there was a leading role, I would take that leading role. If there was a Mary and a Joseph, I'll be the Joseph. If it was a Moses story, I want to be the Moses. Okay? If it was the disciples, I would want to be the Peter. I would not the Judas. Okay? So take note of those things. How do you stay relevant? Organizations are about relevance. If they do not see you relevant, sad to say, the opposite of the word relevant. And those are the times when usual organizations make very tough decisions, and then they'll say these and these and these will not continue to be with us. So find that thing that makes you relevant in everything you do. How do you create value? Organizations are about creating value. How is your presence in a place? How is your presence in a business? How is your presence in a relationship creating value? Value for yourself and value for the broader goal of the organization, broader objective of the organization. That is very important. It's a question that you must ask yourself. I do not have answers for these questions, but these are questions that must keep you thinking. How do I stay different? How do I create value? And these are questions that we ask in the corporate world, because if it was in banking, I can tell you that the product that you get from this bank, you will get it from any bank. That I can tell you now. Okay? But what makes a difference is that the customer must see more value either from a price point of view, from a utilization point of view, from a relevance point of view, or from how the product is differentiated. They must at least see value and they get onto your product. Sometimes they may see value through relationships, through how you talk to them. So it speaks to service. Okay? Because everyone else is offering what we call homogeneous products, similar products. What makes the differentiation is the how you give those products. So you are all trained. 2 people enter the organization. They all have a bachelor's in economics and they are in the investment department. They are all brilliant. They all came with A's. 2 years down the line, we are looking at who is going to we are going to promote. They are going to look at how they show up, how they've been demonstrating value. Okay? And that is very important. And then the other question that I want you to ask yourself is, how do you show up? Now, presentation is very important. How do you show up in a place of work? How do you show up in a place where you've agreed you're going to be in that particular place? And by showing up is, how do you physically fit into that place? There are people that just come, and you can see from the levels of energy that blah, blah, blah. As a boss, you just want to say, do you think you want to take a day off? Okay? Because of the way they are showing up, or the lack thereof. Okay? So show up with a passion and some zeal and energy that I'm conquering this thing. I can do it. Sometimes even things that you don't understand, just say, I'll do it. Okay, just give me this responsibility, I'll do it. And once the boss has given you this responsibility, I say, Josiah, how is this done? Okay? Yeah? What picture are you projecting? That you have the right attitude. Okay? That you want to do it, you can do it. How you do it is not a problem. The boss, by the way, is never concerned about how you do it. Just Nike. Okay? That's what he wants, that's what she wants. Just do it. How you do it is really your problem, because they are thinking you've come into the organization, you're mature enough to find a solution. What do you do? Why you do what you do? Always ask yourself that question. Why do I do what I do? Now always ask that question from a bigger picture. If you're in an organization, ask yourself why the organization does the things that they do. Why? Because once you know the why, the how is often very easy. Okay? If you know why the organization does certain things, you know how you fit in, and how you do it does not become a problem. I need to close because I think I'm ending in just about 5 minutes or so. Who is your role model? We were talking about mentorship. Just mind as you're growing. Not everyone that is successful is a good role model. But these are things that we have been given, that gift by God, personal discernment when we are choosing who our role model is. But we all have someone we say, that is my role model. And you can learn from them. What is your part in the big picture? Do you know how you fit in? If they asked you, I once was at some place and I was telling people that if they asked you, what do you do at the bank? And I say, I am the head of customer service. You've missed it. Does that make sense? Yeah? Does that make sense? If they ask you what you do at the bank and you say, I am the service director, you've missed the point. You've given them your title, but you've not given them an opportunity to explain how you fit in the bigger picture. So that question can be asked differently. So, Mr. Chafunga, what do you do? I'm the head of customer service. What do you do? I am the head of customer service. Sir, what do you do? I am responsible for making that our customers in the organization go through a great customer experience to enable them to continue to buy and to use our products. That then goes to uplifting the top line and helping the organization achieve its goals. What I've just said is that I understand how I fit into the whole big picture. We all fit in the big picture. If you do not understand how you fit in the big picture, you may be that piece of the puzzle that is causing the organization not to achieve. Okay, why? Because you do not understand. Because yours is, me, I just go to work and get a salary. Okay? But we should have a correct attitude towards this. Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm about to finish. Yeah. And are you present or productive? I used to work in this place where they used to ask us this question. Are you present or are you productive? You know what the difference is? You can be in an organization, you'll be there, you'll be present. You can go to work. Sometimes it's easy actually in most places where you can just go and not notice what you've done. You come out. You go, you come out. What you're doing is you're just present. But there are those people that go and their influence is seen and the results are seen. Those people are productive. Be productive. Always try to be productive. Even when you are in your comfort zone, make sure that your comfort zone and what you do can demonstrate some level of productivity. Okay? What do they say about you when you are not in the room? That's an important question. It's actually one of those explanations, one of those definitions of what a brand is. A brand, one of the definitions, one of the organizations defines a brand as what they say when people are not in the room. If I was to leave this room and you guys were to describe me, what you say about me is what is actually true. Not what you tell me when you're standing here, oh, Bachav, you're a nice guy, humble, and whatnot. When I go out of this room and you say, this guy talks too much, that's a reality. And that's what I've become. So what do people say when you're out of the room? When you've left the office, and when it's time to discuss your name in the boardroom by the bosses, what do they say about you? The guy that just comes early to work and leaves late, but you cannot see the results. You see? There are those people, right? They will be at work 7:30, work starts at 8. They will leave the work at 19 hours and they come and tell us, no, I'm busy, that's why I don't come to church. And when in the boardroom, no results. So there was a time in one organization where we used to say, we work smart and not hard. We were not hard workers, we were smart workers. Meaning, within a short period of time, we made sure everything that we did made sense for our customers. And the last question that you need to ask yourself, what is your attitude to life in general? What attitude do I have to life? Is my attitude just about making big by way of having money? How do I approach things? What attitude do I have in life? And you know, there is a story. I don't know how many of you have heard of the story of J.F. Kennedy and the janitor. Anyone? You've heard that story? Thank you. Anyone who has heard that story? Peter? No, he said he did this, not this. Anyone who has heard that story? Okay, let me tell you that story. The story of the janitor and John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was one of the many American presidents. So in 1961, John F. Kennedy went to NASA. We all know what NASA is. Those guys that were sending people, to space. So John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States. And during his tenure in 1961, he went to NASA. And when he went to NASA, he found this janitor. This janitor, those guys that mop, clean around. And obviously, as a president, he was going through there, introducing himself. I'm John F. Kennedy, the president of the United States of America, and all those things, yada, yada, yeah, we know you're president, of course. And he was asking people, what do you do? And everyone else, as he was taking a tour of NASA, was saying what they did. Remember what I asked you, the thing I said about what you do, and you say you are. Yeah. So you can imagine this janitor, if was going to be, when he was going to be asked, what do you do? And the answer that he was expected to give. So the answer automatically was going to be, I'm a janitor. clean around and make this place clean. But to John F. Kennedy's surprise, when he was asked, what do you do? This was the answer that the janitor gave here, right here. He says, I am helping to put a man on the moon. He was cleaning the floor. But he said, I am helping to put a man on the moon. What do you think we learned from the answer that the janitor gave? In the bigger picture. Remember we talked about how you fit in the bigger picture. What did the janitor understand about where he was working? You read the story, so you know that. What do you think he was trying to communicate to the president?
At the time, the organization was like he knew what his organization was doing and what his role, even no matter how small.
Did you get that? So in the journey of growth, we all have a part that we play. Please, just understand how that role fits into the bigger picture. The janitor knew that his cleaning was not just about cleaning. Okay? He knew that the one single objective of the organization was to put a man on the moon. And he bought into that bigger picture. And each time he went to his office as he was leaving the children, Daddy, where are you going? Kids, we are going to help put a man on the moon. Okay? And the kids would go about, I'm sure, telling everyone, Daddy's putting a man on the moon. Why? The thing is, he's playing a small role. But he understands that his small role is not small. He's big. And he fits into the bigger picture. And I think this is, as you grow, this is one of those things that I want you to have as a takeout. Just always be mindful every time, wherever you're placed, what role you're playing at that particular point in time. Okay? When I said I was going to start farming, I told myself I'm going to add the food basket of the country. Okay? That was my objective. Because I had in mind I was going to be supplying to Pick and Pay, I was going to be supplying to, what is that place? Food Lovers and Melissa. I went to Melissa, I walked in there, let me show you. I walked in there and I told her, who's the manager? I've got vegetable sweet potatoes, how do I go about supplying? Oh, okay, she bring us some samples. Samples never came. But look, I went to that length to just understand how this whole value chain works, okay? Yeah? And I was ready as well. I was going to be supplying these things. One time, 04, I drove into Tendere Market. It was dark. I drove and I found how people supply vegetables. That year I was driving with my van there. I looked around, this is how it is supplied. He says, going to do one time. So the little sales that I did, I woke up from home around 03. I drove to the farm, took me an hour. 04, I drove back. 05, it was dark. I was the first one to drop the commodity there. Bah! I was waiting for the sales. I will tell you this story. But I had to go to work. I went to work. I left my auntie and the waker there. I was waiting for the call because I knew that by 6 everything should be gone. Okay, I was waiting. 6, the call is not coming. 7, the call is not coming. 8, the call is gone. 9, the call comes. Hello, Uncle. My auntie calls me Uncle. This time, but I'm mushe. Manji chabe. Hajatifuna yamba tuende kutenga wazimai. Kwa sababu ila chitrack chatoka kuchipata. Chaida cha ndolo hiyo. Ikulu kuchina ya tuwelo che wewe mmeibisa pa 70 kwa aje. That might not happen. Wazimai waambira masaka but wakamba tofuna ma 50. And I knew that this is a lesson that I have to learn. This is part of okay. And I said Bakuli said per 50. And I made a loss. But it was not a loss. Because I'm going to come out bigger, better, and bolder. The biggest farmer in that sector. And we'll do big things. So remember, this is the part that you play. So, I leave you with this. Okay? Attitude. How you view certain things. Alright? Your attitude. Zig Ziglar said these things. I don't know who Zig Ziglar is. You guys know who Zig Ziglar is. But not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. Attitude is approach. Aptitude is the things we learned, degrees and masters and everything, and all these professional programs, and we like them, still learning them. I don't know, I've been learning for how many years. I'm tired, I'm still going to school. Okay? Altitude, how high you go. So in the picture of growth, we want to always go higher. We're always aiming for higher. But what will get us to that is not the things that we learn at school. Okay? It is our approach, it's how we look at things. So he says your attitude, how you perceive things, actually, and not the things that you have learned, is what will take you to that place. Things that are, there are people that have put papers. Yeah? They'll tell you they're always studying. They've got 5 degrees, 2 masters, and all those things. And we receive these emails from the office, and you're reading the signature. Yeah? What people put there is longer than the email. someone has sent. So I called a friend of mine and said, hey, your boss has got many papers, eh? So that's really what it is. Okay? So remember, here, attitude plays a big role in the whole picture. And that comes to the end of my presentation. But what I want to do, Lizu, is before there are questions and answers, I'll do a little exercise for you. So the exercise is this. You can now turn your paper and read what is there as a group. Read what is there. It's a 1 page. How many minutes should I give you to read 1 page?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Read 3 minutes. Within 3 minutes, read 1 page. Discuss it. Within 5 minutes, read, discuss, and have some answers. And volunteer 1 person from your team to tell us